Well, it would make perfect sense to relieve Spring Hill if the capacity is there at Mentor.
Right.
And I am comfortable with staff and superintendent tweaking the line to make it work better. I won't speak for any other board member.
No, I'm fine with that. I was a little concerned about wedding yourself to something now that you might want to do differently when you're not making the change for another year anyway. So that's, and also, I mean, I don't know how many kids are off of Park Road, but that's awfully close to Mentor.
Mr. Campbell mentioned that today, and we could get with transportation, we could decide.
If you want to just leave that part sort of open.
We could do that. I would feel better about that.
Yeah, I would too. But I share your need to go ahead and get some resolution to it. So if we say what little parts we're leaving open so that everybody knows.
We know that East Fayette will be open next year, so we can plan and we can probably get it those tweaked by the January board meeting, I would think. Mrs. Smith, that should not be a problem.
I think that's, you want to leave yourself some flexibility while doing what needs to be done for now. Okay.
That also leaves Berlin at 98% capacity. Is that a problem?
It is not a problem because that's an area that is not going to be a growth area. And we know that we're pushing Braylon, but we feel like we're going to be fine there. Because that, again, that's the revised capacity. We really feel good about that.
Couldn't we make that same statement for Stevens Entry? It doesn't put us over at Huddleston, and if it doesn't put us way under at Crabapple, couldn't we leave those kids there?
She did make a good point. There's more room for growth facility-wise at Crabapple for another group to move in. Or there's more growth in that region.
If the board's pleasure, and we checked those numbers at Huddleston, and we've got room there, we could leave Stevens Entry there. And let's see, if you move those 50 kids, you're still going to be at 610, and you're still under capacity there, and that's a no-growth area at Huddleston. We checked with Mr. Rask, and we know that's true.
I just don't like moving people at the last minute.
I understand that, and I understand that.
We know why you should too.
I think everybody up here doesn't want to do that.
Well, and what she said was accurate, what they said.
For Spring Hill, thinking about the future, could you not extend the line north? Would you not want to do that? To go into, see that you're showing a capacity of 951 up there at Fayetteville Intermediate.
Right.
And there will be well under capacity according to the projections. So I don't know if there's any opportunity when you're looking at that too to go.
I think it has something to do with being across 54.
That was one of the main things, Mr. Wright. And you know, we wanted to make sure that East Fayette, these people knew where they were going the next year. But I think if we tweak or adjust these lines, we can tell basically in January where they're going. It'll give us more time to study. But we felt good about the big NPU going to Mentor the following year, because that's going to put them at about 680. And we know that that capacity, they can go to 763, and they've got plenty of room at Mentor.
Refresh my memory about the residents of Lakemont and Lakeside about going to Mentor.
They wanted, here's what they said, they wanted to be together, Lakeside and Lakemont, and we wanted to make sure we didn't orphan feeder patterns. So if they go to Mentor, half of Mentor or most of Mentor will go to Whitewater Middle, Lakeside and Lakemont will go to Bennett's Mill. But remember, it's very, very difficult to have one elementary school go to one middle school. I mean, when we get as many elementaries as we now have, you're going to have multiple splits when you go to middle school. We're trying to limit those as much as possible. Other questions?
You said that you had some ideas on how to ease a bit of the crunch at Peoples without altering the lines as they're drawn here tonight. Could you share those with us?
Yes, ma'am. I can. What we talked about it, Mr. Campbell and I spoke with Transportation today, is that no new special permission would be given to either Braylon or Peoples, because both of them are going to be almost at capacity. But also, if there were any classes that we possibly could move to a smaller footprint school, for instance, Mentor is going to be small next year, and that may be resource classes or things of that nature, we might could alleviate some overcrowding there. I appreciate the opportunity to look at the maps and adjust them, and we'll bring those adjustments to you all in January. And then we made the note of Stephen's entry too. Is that what the board would prefer us to look at that, Stephen's entry, keeping them at Holston?
I would.
Okay.
So, when you say you're gonna make those adjustments, can't we approve this and go ahead and make those adjustments? I don't think anybody wants to wait until January to
Well,
find out
here's the
No,
only thing.
what you're saying is approve them, but go ahead and make the changes on
make
the
the
map sheet
changes.
Well,
after tonight.
Well, and of course, whatever the board prefers, I know in the Chanticleer area, which Dr. Todd's familiar with, there's 40 kids in that area, transportation-wise. It would give Inman more kids, but it'd also take 40 kids. And this is, they'd be at East Fayette next year, but the following year they go to Inman, rather than going to Spring Hill. And that would put Spring Hill at 650 rather than
You can
700.
get there without turning left 192 too, can't you?
Okay.
You go the behind.
Back way.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of, and I was doing numbers before I got up here tonight. I just thought it made a lot of sense.
My suggestion would be to keep the recommendation as it is and add a statement with the proviso that the suggested changes be made and reported back to us at the next board meeting. With that, Mr. Superintendent, with that.
And that would be the Stevens entry.
Well, I think the vote tonight can include Stephen's
Right.
entry. We can just
Yeah, I
make
don't-
that caveat tonight, and then to relook at adjusting that area, their Chanticleer and Harbor Road, when it comes time to look at East, I'm sorry, when East Fayette were to be reused, and those kids move to Spring Hill, that we would look at alleviating Spring Hill a little bit more than just Lake Mountain Lakeside by looking at
Whatever.
that other area, yeah.
Just that line, those lines may shift, but with everybody here would understand that those are the only places that
We're talking
we would
about.
expect to change.